Okay, at this time, we'll go ahead and call the Schertz City Council workshop session into order. First item up, we have hearing of the residents. This time is set aside for any person who wishes to address the City Council. Each person should fill out the speaker's registration prior to the meeting. Presentation should be limited to no more than 3 minutes. And when you come up, if you'll state your name and give your address, please. All right, there's no citizens to be heard. We'll go ahead and close citizens to be heard. All right, we'll moving on to the discussion and action items. First discussion, well, I'm sorry, time out. Councilman Davis, do we have citizens that signed up to speak?
No, Mr. Mayor, there is no one signed up for the workshop.
All right, thank you, sir. Just had to confirm that. Thank you, sir. All right, moving on to discussion and action items. First item up for discussion is July 4th Jubilee plans for 2026. Councilman Macaluso.
All right, I'm gonna do my best since I'm always rushing to get here at this time for the meeting. But the whole purpose of me wanting this on here is I think that we have a unique opportunity to showcase our city, celebrate America's 250th birthday. I was informed that it's Schertz 50th Jubilee. I think that this is obviously something that we probably aren't going to be able to experience again, at least maybe for another 50 years. And so when I think of the Jubilee, I enjoy it. I think we've hit a little bit of a plateau. I'm not sure if I would say it's improved or necessarily, downgraded from the past years. I just think that we leave a lot on the table. And if we're going to do something different, I think this is the year to do it. I think our city desires it. I think our residents would enjoy it. I think there's a lot of pride in our city, not only by us up here, but also our residents. And I think we can do something special and almost in a regional way, because there's just not a lot of 4th of July celebrations that I really hear of that would make someone say, hey, I want to go over there and check that out. And I think we can do that. There's obviously some challenges that we would have to evaluate and look through it, but I think it's worth the effort. And kind of wanted to see what everybody else thought about it. I know some of the concerns that'll be brought up. Hopefully we can kind of have some answers to that. But what I envision is more than just a one-day Saturday event. I think we could use, go in with Friday and Saturday, make it a multi-day effort. I think there's opportunities to utilize Main Street earlier on Saturday, kind of transition that into the park later in the afternoon. A little bit more of advanced fireworks show, a little bit better live music opportunity, whether it's multiple bands, maybe somebody a little bit more known instead of just a cover band. I think I have a good vision. I just want to see if others feel the same, and if they do, how can we make that happen? And I'm not looking to say, hey, we're going to have to do this all on the Schertz's back. I think there's opportunities out there to get sponsorships and partnerships from our business community, whether it's the chamber, whether it's veterans groups. I just think that we have a lot of opportunities, and I'd like to see us work through that and see if we can put together something special for this year.
Some very good points made. Would anybody like to add to that?
Good. Well,
Allison Hayward?
yes. All right. So I concur with Councilmember Macaluso. I was just at the National League of Cities Conference in Salt Lake, Utah, and one of the sessions was about America 250. And in that, there were cities that talked about ways you can do it. I mean, and the parades and fireworks is like the end all, the pièce resistance. and making it special. But what they were talking about is doing things to lead up to that, things that don't really cost the city a lot of money. So there was some ideas thrown around, and I remember when I was a kid and we did the bicentennial, the city of Houston allowed residents that lived near a fire hydrant to come out and paint them patriotically. So then you would send your picture in, and then they would put it in the newspaper, and that gets the neighbors together and being patriotic. There's some cities, what they were doing is like little scavenger hunts. Like we've had one with the chamber, but it was more like history of the city, and you would do the little scavenger hunt, which didn't cost anything. They had a website called America 250, and people were starting to share some of their ideas on things that they were doing. They also, one city, what they did was they had neighbors in neighborhoods get together and kind of do like a patriotic theme, potluck, and trying to get neighbors also more involved with each other and celebrating America's 250, but it also can help us celebrate the 50th. And then we just look at little things that we do something maybe monthly that leads up to the two-day event and the parade. And so there's other ideas I have running around my head, but I'll let somebody else speak. But it was just coming up with ways that didn't cost a lot of money. And then there are a lot of companies out there that are major corporations that are actually looking to partner with some cities on doing an America 250 event. So I think we need to look at those avenues as well. As we have local, but there are some major corporations that are on these websites that are looking for ways to sponsor some cities' events. And so I think it's time for us to start looking at it. I started looking at, apparently, last year there was some cities that did, I guess like, because of last year in April, they did something with that. That sounds like that might be my truck. And so they were doing a whole lot of things, and everybody was trying to come up with ideas to make this special for their city leading up to a parade or to fireworks. I even think it may cost a lot, or maybe we can get a partnership, a drone show. I've seen that in Houston, and it's like getting all those drones to do all the things with different things. It is just like amazing. So that's all I have to say, but I think we can look at trying to partner so it's not coming out of the general fund, or maybe even looking at hot tax if it's a two-day event, but just trying to get creative at building that up to make people want to be here in the city of Schertz.
Okay, Councilman Guerrero.
I concur with both council members. We definitely need to make it memorable, make it exciting, make it different, make it unique. We have a lot of people here in Schertz who are patriotic. I see a lot of American flags throughout the different communities, throughout the different neighborhoods, a lot of veterans, first responders, they're everywhere. And I believe that this would be a memorable thing if we did something exciting, different, and unique. We owe it to our residents. We owe it to ourselves. Schertz is patriotic, and it always will be. Thank you.
Councilwoman Watson.
I agree with trying to make Schertz a unique place to be, because we're still looking for our identity. Sorry, my voice, I'm just coming out of laryngitis. So, but we do need to figure out a budget in regards to live bands and everything. That's at least $5,000 per performance. And then, of course, the sponsorship and different companies. So I don't know who's going to gather that information. Should we gather it? Staff will gather it moving forward in regards to that?
Can I answer that? I think, and one way we can do it is we could put together a committee of volunteers, and whether we sit on there or we ask for, we provide some individuals or anybody that might be even interested in the community. They sit on it together and they meet every so often to kind of come up with a game plan. So that's kind of how I envisioned it. I definitely didn't have a thought that the city would have to do everything on their own, that all the expense would have to come out of the city coffers. I didn't envision that at all. I think we have a lot of businesses and a lot of corporations in our community that hopefully would be willing to step up and celebrate this special occasion with us. And I do think that we should incorporate some kind of veteran, first responder kind of celebration into that as well. So I just, I think the opportunity's there, but it's definitely going to take some volunteer help.
Councilman Westbrook.
Yes, Mayor. So I think there's a consensus already that we should move forward with it. I think, and I don't know if Steve had addressed it or not, but there's putting together sort of an event action plan. Yes, we should involve some volunteers. However, I think the onus is going to probably rely on some city department. There's going to be heavy. Then you also have to factor in, just operations planning, logistics, and finance aspect of everything going on. But also if we're going to cannibalize against what Cibolo, Live Oak, or any other cities doing it. So I know Councilmember Macaluso mentioned a regional. Are we going to sort of work with Cibolo, or going to work with Live Oak, or is this just going to be an independent city event? A lot of questions to ask, but certainly there seems to be consensus to move forward with an amazing event.
Councilwoman Hayward.
If we looked at something regional, we could say you've got the east end of the county doing something and the west end of the county doing something, because Seguin's always going to do something, and they try to do it big. They have like a very big 4th of July parade. So that is a thought, but it's just trying to get that process and the conversation started. I think, as I said, we have a consensus. We just need to make sure that we're not, going beyond, trying to think of big things beyond and can't deliver. So we got to make sure that whatever comes out of this, we can deliver wholeheartedly, and everyone will appreciate what we're doing.
Councilwoman Watson, did you have any additional comments? Councilman Guerrero, do you have any additional comments?
Negative, sir.
I have a couple of comments, Mayor,
Go ahead.
if that's okay, or questions, really. So it sounds like Councilman Macaluso has a clear vision, I think, of what he wants, but overall, I don't know if I'm hearing that the council in general has a consensus. So I do like the idea very much of forming a committee, and maybe we can include, I think it'd be critical that we would include some key staff members and a few council members, and community members would be great. I guess a primary question I have is if we can't come up with donations to cover most of it or the increased cost, are we still committed as an organization to doing that? Because since it is in July and we are in December, it's something we would need to move pretty quickly on in terms of planning, and I don't know if we're willing to pull back if we can't get the money. Do you see what I'm saying? Does that make sense what I'm asking? So if we put a lot of work into expanding the show and doing more things, are we able to still move forward with what we're planning if we can't get a sponsor?
Councilman Westbrook.
So this is where the onus is sort of on your staff. I mean, you're going to, Councilmember Macaluso has a vision. However, by the time you come up with a budget, what it's going to take, all the operations planning and logistics, you're talking about another month. And according to, if I'm not mistaken, in the charter, and I don't know if it's just for the charter committee or all committees, I think each one of us is supposed to have the ability to put somebody on any committee coming forward, like each council member with the mayor having two. I think that's the way it reads in the charter, but I don't know if that's specifically for the charter committee or if it's for all committees, ad hoc committees moving forward. So each one of us would theoretically want to appoint someone or place someone on that committee. That's going to take another month. You're right.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, what you're referring to is specific to the charter, but I think your concept is a good one. You guys would all want to have somebody on there to have input. But I would highly encourage to have some council members on the committee as well, since you are ultimately the decision makers in this process. So my caution, and I did talked to Councilman Macaluso about this quite a bit, is some of our staff members already put in an 18-hour day on July 4th, and they're going to put in an 18-hour day. Some get there at 6, I'm looking over at Cassie and Lauren. Some of them get there at 6 a.m. and don't leave until 11 p.m. at night. Adding another day will require, I don't think it can be avoided, even if we get volunteers to carry some of the load. I don't think it can be avoided that we're gonna ask some people to put in almost a full week in 2 days. You know, 2 back-to-back 18-hour days. It can't be avoided. So I just want to throw that out there. Our shift workers, we can work around that, but we are already trying to make the current celebration into an all-hands-on-deck, requiring certain departments that maybe not necessarily participated in the past participate on a rotating basis to take some of the load off of some of the departments that have to work quite a bit, like Public Works and Parks and et cetera. So we can make it work. We will make it work. I just throw that out as a cautionary note before we get started on it.
Councilman Westbrook?
How quickly could you have a timeline, you know, presented to council? I think that's what we're working on. We need a timeline.
So I think a timeline can be put together pretty quickly as long as we have a concept and we know what we're doing. So if we're going to form a committee and the committee is going to make a decision as to what this looks like, then we can work on a realistic timeline. I think we can do that pretty quickly and put together an action plan, an event. Actually, we've gotten pretty adept at event action plans, so I think we could put together something pretty quickly. And I do want to comment, we did have a supplemental request in the budget this year to add $75,000. And we kind of have priced out some of the things like a drone show and expanding the fireworks display and, you know, enhancing the musical talent, that kind of thing. It didn't make the cut, but if that's something we put back in, that's perfectly okay. We'll make the decision to do that. But, so I say that to say that we've already costed out some of the items, and I guess it's all going to depend on what that final desired product looks like.
Okay, Councilwoman Hayward.
I know Councilmember Westbrook said that council should all appoint someone. I think the committee ends up getting too large. I think we need to narrow down and make it a smaller committee so that things can move quickly, because the more people you have, it ends up becoming maybe too many chiefs and not enough Indians, or, you know, something like that, or there's no consensus. And we need to make sure that we've got to have a consensus, so the committee shouldn't have to be so large that it just can't move anywhere. It gets stalled out. And so I think we need to maybe narrow that down to a smaller group of people.
Councilman Westbrook.
So Mayor, so this is where great ideas start experiencing some friction, right? Because now you're trying to implement it. So you know, do you have chambers of commerce? Which ones? Do you have the mayor? Do you have city council people? Do you have stakeholders? You need some of your staff members. Now we're trying to find a consensus just to serve on the committee itself, much less carrying out Macaluso's vision. And so what's the appropriate number for the committee? You know, what's a timeline? There's a lot of boxes to be checked here. You have a great idea, but unless we get started soon, we're going to find ourselves bogged down just in the minutia of the detail. Sometimes maybe just initially, maybe we just leave it to the city staff to come up with an event action plan, some ideas, and then the committee then sort of bounces it back. But if you start with the committee first, we're going to be here in March, still trying to, it's going to get convoluted process.
I mean, there's no doubt city staff is going to play a significant role in it. I don't see you know, where we should be having any issues figuring out a committee amount. I mean, I don't see why we should even have an argument with that, whether it's 7 people, 8 people, 10 people. I don't think it matters. I mean, you should have a chairman no matter what, and they're the ones that are responsible to keep everything in control and make it worthwhile. But I think in terms of the budget, I think, you know, we have to obviously evaluate it and see what we're willing to do above and beyond what they had planned out. But ultimately, I think we need to lean on our businesses and our community to help with it, because they're also benefiting from it as well. And also advertising opportunities. I would think a lot of these companies would like to see their name out there, especially if we have a good crowd. So I just don't know if we've actually put in the amount of work that is needed to be able to get that kind of participation. I don't really know. I'd have to find out from the staff. But I think, you know, being that it is a special event, maybe it'd be a little bit easier than normal.
Mayor, if I might make a suggestion, just to maybe get things rolling, maybe a committee that we can start right away, and it doesn't have to be the full committee right away. We could start with 3 council members, so we keep it less than a quorum. I would recommend that Councilman Macaluso chair the committee, and maybe add 2 more that are willing to volunteer their time. And the key staff members, I would envision, say, Lauren and Cassie and the other folks that are heavily involved in the process that we have now. So maybe 3 or 4 or 5 staff members. And I'm sure there's some key members of the community we could think of that might possibly be willing to help us out, if that's acceptable. That way we can go ahead and get started. And if more people join the committee or added to the committee, you know, we brainstorm ideas. Is that?
All right, my last comment, I think that's good, Steve. I think you kind of start big and then you start to scale back when you see what's reality. So if you start small, you're going to stay small. So let's look at something big, see what we can do, see what kind of interest there is, and go from there.
I kind of agree with everything that's being said here. I remember years ago where the 4th of July Jubilee would be pretty much all weekend long. And it drew quite a bit of a crowd. And one of the things that I was approached yesterday was, hey, can we bring the rib barbecue cook-off back? He goes, we really missed that. And so, I mean, that's another thing that we might be able to do. I don't know, because I know there's a lot of people out there that like to entertain cook-offs. So, and I mean, you can add entry fees to that. They can help draw in a little bit of revenue. So I think there's a lot to gain by everything that's been stated here. And so do we have at least 2 other council members that would like to step up to help out and be part of this committee?
I would love to.
Okay, anybody else? I'll go ahead and take part on that as well then.
You want to be part of the committee?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, we can work to set up a meeting soon. I know that the holidays are right on us, but potentially we can get everybody together, at least preliminarily, to kind of discuss where we go from here. And I'll get with the staff and we can discuss maybe some members of the community. One that pops into mind, she's not here, but she might be here, is Maggie. Might be a good one to add, as well as some others you can think of, so.
Okay. Any other discussions on this item? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to discussion action item number 2, which is the signed ordinance. Councilman Davis?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. We've done a lot of changes recently to our sign ordinance to clarify things, and I think it's pretty solid right now. But one of the issues that I think is applicable to some of our developments as the city grows is we have a requirement that a sign cannot be in the easement of the property. And depending on the property, I would think that could be a potential issue with having the right kind of advertising for a sign for a particular property. So I was wondering if the staff could come up with some options that would allow a little bit of flexibility, such as if a business wanted to put a sign and the base of the sign is outside of the easement, so it's not in the easement itself, but has a movable arm or section of the sign that would extend to the easement, but then can be swung out of the way and moved if there was an issue with the easement. So in other words, giving some flexibility, instead of having just a straight sign pole that goes up vertical or is at the ground level, gives them the capability, depending on the property, to have a footer that's outside the easement and then something that swings or rotates to give them better visibility of their sign that can be easily moved if there's a problem.
Okay, does anybody have any comments to add to that?
Well, we can certainly bring something back based along those criteria that you're describing, and staff can kind of come up with some parameters if that's acceptable. And
Sure. I mean,
present
I'm
some to the
looking
council.
at something that's either, swings or rotates or slides back and forth so that it gives them maximum visibility of their sign, but does not violate our easement requirements.
Okay, does anybody know if that would violate any current ordinances that we have in place?
It would, yes. So it would violate a current ordinance. So I think what Councilman Davis is saying is let staff go back, kind of brainstorm this. We already have been a bit, and then we can come back with some options for potential amendments. So yeah, we should be able to get you something here in fairly short order.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Any other discussions on item 2?
Not for me, sir.
Okay, moving on to item 3, memorial for Councilmember Tim Brown. Councilmember Guerrero.
Yes, I'm going to definitely propose some type of memorial for Councilmember Tim Brown. He completed 28 years military service in the United States Air Force, reached the highest enlisted rank of Master Chief Sergeant. His position was Special Operations Combat Controller. After the military, he entered the real estate business. He became a broker for RE/MAX Corridor and well known throughout this industry. 2011, 2018, he was appointed to the EDC and was the president of this committee. 2018, he was elected to City Council Place 7, and that's where he finished. He displayed solid leadership and commitment to his community, the city, and his country. Councilman Tim Brown was the first person to encourage me to run for city council, and he appointed me to the Charter Review Committee in the beginning of 2024. He has earned and well deserves a memorial of some type in our city. So I'm proposing to this council to have some type of memorial for him. I hope you all feel the same.
I think it's a good idea, but what type of memorial? What are we talking about? Are we talking about a plaque, a brick in Veterans Square? Are we talking about a scholarship?
Honestly, anything that would be in his name, whether it's a plaque, scholarship, building, room, anything, any type of memorial that we all can agree on. I don't want to be specific because everybody has different ideas. Everybody thinks differently. So some type of memorial that we can all agree on. It doesn't have to be something extravagant, just something to remember, something as a memorial to Tim Brown.
Councilwoman Hayward.
When you said that, and since he was a council member, I was thinking maybe a plaque out in the foyer when you walk in with Councilmember Tim Brown. Name on it and information on it. We could put a plaque out there. And I'm not opposed to having a brick either in his name at the Veteran Center. Maybe even a little plaque, something that remembers him. So I'm not opposed to it. We just got to, I think, partly is just figuring out what. I mean, or do we name a conference room after him, like the conference room here in the city, in the council chambers, it becomes the Tim Brown Conference Room. And it has a plaque in front of it. I think that would probably be a good way to remember him.
Any other comments?
Yeah, just like I agree with you. Just like I said, anything that we can all agree on, that we're all comfortable with, but some type of memorial for Tim Brown, some type of, whether it be the conference room, plaque, it doesn't matter, something to remember Councilman Tim Brown.
Mayor, I would add that we do have the Bob Andrews Conference Room in Building 1. So we do have a precedent of naming.
Is that something that we could have the staff look into to find out how we can memorialize Councilmember Tim Brown?
I think what we're looking for is direction from
From
the council
council.
to tell us what you guys would like to see.
And the reason why I was thinking this conference room, because it was on EDC, that was the conference room that was used. As a council member, we've used that, being in that conference room for closed sessions. I think it would be an appropriate place to put the plaque and name the conference room after him.
Councilwoman Watson?
I agree with, that is a great idea that Councilwoman Allison Hayward said. Again, with the conference or the brick too. I would like something out on the Veterans Memorial too.
Councilmember Macaluso?
Yeah, I just show my support also for the conference room. He spent a lot of years holding meetings in there, and I think that'd be a very suiting tribute to him.
Councilman Westbrook, do you have any other additional comments?
Yes, Mayor. So we agree on the consensus with moving forward with the memorial, but should there be something codified in our operating procedures, board operating procedures, our future onboarding to sort of say, here's when we will or will not memorialize people? You see what I'm saying? Instead of a case-by-case basis, you have 5 years, 10 years from now for city council to sort of say, in this instance, if a council member or mayor dies while serving, they will, this X, Y, or Z will happen, right? It's like, you don't want, in 10 years from now, some councilman member dies and not to memorialize them. So when do we do certain things and when do we not do certain things? Some of this has to be codified or written down in terms of city council board operating procedures. That's just my take. It's better to have it written down in a policy than not have it done. That's just my take.
Okay, any other discussions?
The reason why I brought this up is because he reached the highest enlisted rank in the military, president of the EDC, a broker for his real estate company, and then now he's a council member. That's a big accomplishment right there. I mean, reaching highs in 4 different areas is a huge accomplishment, and that's the reason why I brought this up. I agree with Councilwoman Hayward to rename this conference room in the memory of Councilman Tim Brown.
When it comes to codifying, I think we shouldn't necessarily have to codify that, in that each council will make the decision 10 years from now what they would like to do. I think it would vary based on different aspects, and we wouldn't be able to handle all the different reasons on, because then could it be, how did he die? It could get into the weeds, and I just think that if you're an acting council member, it would be that way, but I'm not sure we need to codify it. I know that typically everything within the school district is codified. I don't know that we have to. I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but I don't know that we have to. I think each council makes that decision going forward, because there were things like when we did I guess with the SSLGC, when we had a new water tower, they named it the Hal Baldwin Tower, and everybody agreed that we would name it that, because he was one that kind of started the process of Schertz having water. So I just think it should be maybe to each council to make the decision on how they want to handle that in the future. I could be wrong, but that's my take on it.
Councilman Westbrook?
Is this the last subject we're discussing for today? No. I'll table it because this is about memorialization of Tim Brown and we're not gonna sidetrack a worthy discussion about Tim Brown. I'm gonna make this about Tim Brown. He should be memorialized. And so let's leave it at that, and we can have a different discussion about policies and procedures later on.
I would agree with that. Okay, any other further discussions on item 3?
So if I'm hearing correctly, the direction is, and what staff will do is we will put together a proposed plaque to rename the conference room right out here, as well as do a brick at the Memorial Plaza.
I agree.
We will pull something together and we'll bring it back to you guys and kind of pull you some way or another to get final kind of sign off.
Okay.
I have one last thing. When we do this, we need to have like some type of ribbon cutting or ceremony in naming that. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for pointing that out.
If there are no other discussions, this will end the Schertz City Council workshop session, and this meeting is adjourned at 5:38.